Yo, what's going on, guys? And ESPN and my coworker Michael Scotto put out a report. Markelle Fultz is back in the NBA, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be joining the Sacramento Kings on a deal for the rest of the season. And Markelle Fultz, if you guys didn't know, he was really out for most of the season, from my understanding, due to a knee injury that he was rehabbing through. Seems to now be finally back. And Markelle Fultz, I had watched him on the Orlando Magic, and it was a good story of redemption. And he really had started until last year, kind of was like a little bit of a setback. However, in 22 to 23, where he did play 60 games, he became one of the better rim finishing point guards in the league, like very efficient at getting to the rim, drawing fouls, and being able to absorb contact and get to the cup. But still, the 3-point shot, like I know in obviously 22 to 23, he had been a bit more willing, I think almost one or a little over one 3-point attempts a game. And then last year, he just really didn't. And I know he was a bit more injured, playing only 43 games and 21 minutes a night. And he didn't look as like bouncy as he had in the year prior. But he's still also, another thing people don't talk about, is one of the better perimeter defenders at the point guard position. He can lock down the opposing ball handler or even go out onto some wings, because that's the size. That's another thing that people don't realize about Markelle Fultz is this guy's like 6'4", almost 6'5", with like a 6'9" wingspan. He's not a small player. And when you look at what the Kings needed right now with Doug Christie, this is a Kings squad that obviously traded De'Aaron Fox. We all knew that. They got themselves Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. But if you looked at that squad, yes, they are 28 and 26, but they're running a Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, Keegan Murray, DeMar DeRozan, Sabonis lineup. Keon Ellis is playing like a 6-man role for them, and Giannis Valanciunas is coming off the bench, and then a little bit of Jake LaRavia. You throw in Markelle Fultz there, who will probably take some minutes from Keon Ellis, LaRavia, and he can come in for DeMar. He can come in for LaVine. He can come in for Malik Monk. And honestly, if you want to move Malik back to the bench, if Markelle starts to play well, that's even possible too, because I think that they would work like that. As I'm actually really liking this, and it's an end of year deal, so don't sit here and be like, oh, he's gonna change the trajectory of this franchise. No, come on, guys. This is just a good situation where they need a point guard. There wasn't really that many point guard options on the market, albeit he's probably the only one that has the potential to maybe have a resurgence or a renaissance and fulfill some of the potential we thought he had. As this is a guy who, obviously, I don't know if he still has the elite athleticism that we saw coming out of college, but I still think he's a guy who can do damage in transition. He's strong for his position. He's good at playing off ball and cutting to the basket and slashing whenever he's like the off ball guard. And I think he does a great job of facilitating, getting his teammates involved in as a table setter. And by the looks of it, I think mentally and injuries, they've impacted his style of play, but I still think there's a good basketball player in there at 6'4", 200 pounds. Like, that's a solid guy. That's where I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you guys think about this?
And that's where I do think, like, when you look at that, your team like Sacramento, this is, I've said this repeatedly, but like, it is a low risk, medium reward. Like, it's a situation that I think if it works out, Markelle's still, what, I think he's 25 at this point, 26. He's a young man, like, in the grand scheme of life. He still has ways to go in terms of growing. So to me, when you look at that and you think, oh, okay, like, he's still young, he's not going to be someone that you're going to have to ask to play right now. And I mean, not right now, ask him to be more than what he is right now. Obviously, you're going to need him to play because they don't have another guard. But yeah, he's 26, turning 27. And I think that's perfect, as he's definitely someone who could really help the Kings in ways that I think is going to be very useful. But I don't know, when you look at the situation, it's rather intriguing, because to me, I would like it
But what I think is the biggest question is, how would I be able to like maximize the lineup? The whole thing is with Markelle, you probably cannot play DeMar, Markelle, and Sabonis at the same time because the spacing right there would be horrible. And yeah, that would be like the biggest thing. Now, if we look at the Kings statistically, I think the Kings are a team that, it's not, they've gotten better defensively this year, rightfully so, with Doug Christie, which is crazy to think about how much of an impact Christie's had on the season. As before tonight's game, first off, they're 14-8, now 15-8 with Doug Christie. 7th best offense. Yeah, they're the 7th worst scoring defense, but their offensive rating 8th best and 20th in defense while having the 13th best net rating. Isn't that bad? So yeah, I really do believe, like, if you're looking at the situation, I think Markelle is definitely the type of person that can help a King squad that is definitely good on offense, but needs some help on the perimeter. And they actually have the 10th fastest pace in the league. And that's something that actually surprised me. While in terms of assists, they're 13th, 12th in rebounds. So I think, obviously, if they can get some more connective passing going, I would really believe that a guy like Markelle could help this team out in more ways than you would think, as their team that has some good pieces in place. And if I were a fan of the Kings, I would be very excited by the potential of this move, as I actually genuinely love the idea of Markelle coming here and being kind of like a reclamation project. I know that's what he was in Orlando, but I guess this could be part 2 of the reclamation, because it kind of worked in Orlando, but obviously, there's certain things that you still had to work through and he hadn't figured out. But I do think there is a guy in there that can be serviceable for the right team. And I think Doug Christie is clearly a guy that players resonate with. So I think holistically, the situation that he's put himself in could really be a good one for him per se. And that's where I want to hear your guys' opinion in the comment section. What is your expectation for a guy like Markelle? As I think he's someone who has everything you could want from somebody, and in terms of the guard position for what they need right now at that moment. And yeah, if I was a fan of the Kings, I think this is the type of move that you'd like to see your franchise do, just because of everything that is going on in the NBA and how perimeter defense is something that it's not a luxury, you need it.